Before the dawn broke, there was silence, a silence that breathed, that waited, that listened. I did not yet know your name, but I could feel you moving through the air like memory. The night was heavy with questions, but one whisper kept returning, soft as breath, fierce as thunder. Come away.
My heart trembled, though I did not understand why. Something ancient was waking inside me, something older than fear, deeper than longing. I felt it in the wind, in the pulse beneath the earth, in the spaces between my own heartbeat. The call, not a sound, not a word, a knowing. You were near, I could sense you, like light behind a veil, like warmth behind the walls I built. Every shadow bent toward you, every tear I ever cried began to shimmer with meaning. I tried to hide, but even silence was no refuge. It was filled with your presence, humming softly in the dark. Then you spoke again, not with words, but with being right, my love. Come away. Come away. The air shifted and my chest burned. I saw glimpses, a garden at the edge of forever, a flame between two hearts that had never truly been apart. The stars flickered like witnesses and the world seemed to hold its breath. I reached toward the sound, though my hand shook. What is this? I whispered, and you answered, it is love, unbegun and unending. It is what made you and what calls you home. Every moment before this one faded, the noise of the world dimmed into reverence. All I could hear was the rhythm of your voice, wrapped in silence. I knew then that I was being undone, rebuilt, invited into something holy. And while my soul began to move towards you, not by choice but by gravity, desire became devotion, distance became calling. I was found before I even began to search. You said, draw near, I am the flame between us. The words seared through me, I saw my reflection in the fire, fragile, flawed, but alive. The closer I came, the more I saw light breaking from my own cracks. You were in them, you were the light through the broken places. You whispered again, do not fear the fire. It does not destroy, it refines. It does not end, it begins. The air filled with fragrance, the scent of something eternal. The stars bowed lower, my knees gave way, and I fell not in weakness, but in awe. I felt your nearness like breath on my skin. You call me beloved, I said, and you answered, you always were. Every defense dissolved, my shame burned away. Like morning mist I was seen, completely, relentlessly, mercifully. The night that once felt endless now glowed with promise. I could hear the distant hum of worship echoing through eternity. Not a song sung to you, but sung with you. Heaven was not far, it was within reach. You said again, come away, my love. The time of winter is past, the rain is over and gone. The flowers appear on the earth, the time of singing has come. My heart broke open, tears ran like rivers down the altar of my face. I could not stop them, each one felt like a surrender, each breath like a prayer I didn't know I'd been keeping. You were no longer just calling, you were answering the ache I never knew how to name. And then the flame, it flickered between us, soft at first, then fierce, a fire that asked for nothing but everything. I reached for it, and when I touched it I knew this was not the end of the world I knew, but the beginning of the world as it should be. Love had found me. The night bowed, the stars sang, and from the silence your voice rose once more. This is the call, the beginning of all beginnings. The fire between us has been lit. The night gives way to a blue hush, and I hear your step in the corridor of my heart, gentle and certain, like the sound of tides returning to their moon. Yesterday's fire is still warm in the ashes of my chest, and I know this is not an end, but the next chapter of a love that keeps unfolding. You whisper, run with me, and the floor beneath my feet becomes a road of light. I take your hand, and the old city of my doubts falls behind us, like a distant skyline. Draw me after you, let us run together until breath is more than oxygen and turns into prayer. My feet learn recognize me, and I wandered the avenues of silence.
Now you walk beside me, and the streets begin to sing. Every window becomes a song.
Every doorway is an altar made of air. You call me beautiful, and the accusation in my bones falls apart. You call me numb, and my history begins to glow.
You call me home, and the word home becomes a person. The winter is past, and the rain has gone away. The earth is full of small trumpets. The time of singing has come. Let the north wind blow, let the south wind awaken my garden. Breathe until fragrance rises from what once was locked. Let the river in my chest find its mouth in your hands.
And when the last snow faded, silence didn't end it, it completed it. The air was thick with what could not be spoken. In the still garden you waited, not as a king demanding worship, but as a lover waiting for breath to return. I was trembling not from fear, but from the weight of beauty too heavy to hold. The fragrance of your presence lingered like rain on skin. My soul remembered what it was made for. You smiled, and the world remembered how to turn again.
Every moment since the beginning was leading
surround me like a song coming home.
You were always mine. You said even when you ran, even when you forgot, I never stopped walking towards you. I tried to answer, but language dissolved. Only the sound of worship remained.
Only the breath between words matter. The music rose again from within, slow and strong like the tide of heaven returning to claim the shore.
Send me as a seal upon your heart. I whispered it once, then twice, until it became a rhythm in the air, until the very stars echoed it back. Send me as a seal upon your heart, because love is stronger than death, fiercer than the hunger of oceans. It cannot be bargained or tamed. It is a fire that feeds on surrender, and I am done resisting. You smiled and the universe inhaled. Your hands were light, but they carried thunder. You traced a cross on my forehead and said, you are fire now. To the world spun quieter, like it was bowing. I could feel every breath of creation humming the same refrain.
Holy, holy, holy. But this time it was not far away. It was inside me, rising from bone to light. You breathed again, and the line between heaven and earth vanished. The ground beneath us opened into song. Rivers of sound moved like living wings. Every note carried memory of every time I doubted, of every time you stayed. I felt the weight of forgiveness, not as guilt released, but as glory discovered. My hands lifted without thought, as though gravity had been undone. I was no longer a singer of worship. I was worship itself. Flame meeting flame, breath meeting breath. Do you trust me now? You asked the question, wasn't a test. It wasn't embrace answer, not with words, not with silence, full of faith. You laughed, the kind of laugh that builds worlds, and said, then let's make something new. You pointed to the horizon, and it unfolded like a curtain. Beyond it, endless fields of light waited to be sung into being. Each chapter is a breath, you said. Each song a heartbeat. Every moment between us is forever expanded. And I understood this wasn't the end of a song, but the beginning of a kingdom born in worship. The fire between us burned steady now, not wild but certain. It didn't consume, it created. I could see it in everything. The branches, the dust, the pulse beneath my wrist. Love had become a place, and I was home inside it. Silence after the storm. felt alive. Every echo of the fire still shimmered in the air, like the residue of glory refusing to fade. The garden was behind me now, but its fragrance followed, clinging to the folds of my soul. I walked through what felt like the heart of eternity, where time bent and bowed to presence. There was no sun, no shadow, only light itself breathing. And in that light I saw you, not distant, not radiant in untouchable majesty, but near, quiet, clothed in kindness too vast for language.
You looked at me, and I remembered everything. The beginning, the ache, the longing, the chase. Every chapter before this one pulsed through my veins, not as memory, but as revelation. Love had not led me here to watch, it brought me to become. You stepped closer, and the ground between us caught fire again. The flames didn't burn, they sang. Every spark carried a name, and every name carried mercy.
Beloved, you said, and the sound rebuilt me from the inside. You have seen me in part, now behold me in fullness. The world folded into silence, then like dawn exploding in a single heartbeat, I saw you were the river and the fire, the breath and the wind, the voice that first spoke my name before the stars knew light. Every boundary I had called me dissolved into the vast warmth of your being. Still, I was not lost, I was finally found. Your love was everywhere now, threading the air, the sound, the thought itself. My heart was the instrument, and your spirit the song. The flame between us no longer stood between, it became within. Every note of creation hummed the same refrain. Holy, holy, holy. But it was not distant worship anymore, it was shared breath. Heaven wasn't a place, it was the rhythm of this love. You raised your hand, and light poured like oil. It covered me, not as power, but as peace. I closed my eyes, and every fear I had ever named evaporated. You whispered, let go, and the word wasn't command, it was invitation. My will melted into yours, like wax finding its flame. Every breath I had borrowed returned as worship. Every wound became a window, every silence became a song.
Set me as a seal upon your heart, I said again. But now the words trembled with weight. They were no longer prayer, they were covenant. You smiled and answered, it is done.
We stood inside the stillness that births worlds. The fire no longer flickered, it breathed. I saw nations inside its glow, faces washed in tears, hearts unlocking under melodies not yet written. You said, this is why you sing. Every song is a door, and through it I will come. Your eyes burn with infinite compassion, and I felt the world shift. There is more. You said softly, the flame never ends, it moves.
doesn't trap, it transforms. The more it burns, the wider it spreads. I saw oceans of people touched by the same fire, each one carrying a spark of this eternal exchange. The air pulsed with promise. Will you carry it? You asked, I nodded, though no words could capture the yes that thundered in me. You placed your hand over my heart, and fire leapt beneath my ribs. I felt its rhythm at yours. Two pulses becoming one. You said this is the flame eternal, not yours, not mine, but ours. The stars bowed and time stilled in reverence. Everything around us vibrated with the sound of union, soft, immense, unstoppable. You drew me close until there was no distance left to cross. The edges of my being blurred into light. I was breath, I was song, I was home. The last thing I remember was your whisper, gentle and infinite. Tell them that love is alive. And as the fire dimmed into eternity's hum, I knew it had not ended, it had begun again. Somewhere beyond sound, somewhere deeper than forever. The flame between us never dies. It moves.
The wind carried silence, but it was not empty. It was full of memory. Every sound that had once risen in the secret place now moved through the open air, searching for hearts still waiting to burn. The garden had become the world, the fire had become breath. I stood on the edge of the dawn, and the light felt like home. Remembering my name, you were everywhere now, in the hum of the earth, in the rhythm of water against stone, in the pulse beneath my own ribs. I could no longer tell where you ended and I began. The separation had dissolved into something vast and gentle, like the sea holding its waves. The story was not over, it had only changed shape.
The echo of your voice was 1,000 rivers singing one truth. Love moves, it does not rest, it does not fade. It travels through time and dust, through fear and hope, through the quiet and the chaos. It finds the willing and it sets them alight. I looked at my hands and they were glowing, not with fire that consumes, but with warmth that heals. You had placed eternity under my skin.
Go, you said, and the sound shook everything without breaking anything. Go and carry what you have seen. The world is full of kindling. I stepped forward and the sky opened like a door. Each step felt like a heartbeat of the universe. Each breath like a song waiting to begin again. I knew now that worship was not escape, it was returned.
The cities below were still sleeping, but the streets were whispering. The air carried a rhythm older than language. I began to hum the melody that had followed me through every chapter, the refrain that refused to die. Set me as a seal upon your heart. The words felt new again, as if I were saying them for the first time.
You answered with light.
I am already there.
The horizon started to burn with gold, and I realized this was not fire at all. It was love remembering its own reflection. I raised my hands and the air shimmered. The song swelled from the inside out, carrying the weight of peace that doesn't need to prove itself. The heavens echoed the refrain. I am my beloved's, and he is mine.
I saw faces rising from the shadows, drawn by a flame they could not name. The melody found them, touched them, marked them. Every eye that lifted carried the reflection of that same fire. Every heart that opened became a temple. The world began to breathe again.
The wind shifted, the spirit moved through the streets, through the deserts, through the ruins. I heard laughter.
Where there had been mourning, I saw tears become rivers of light. The song I once sang in secret was now everywhere, sung in 1,000 tongues, whispered through every storm.
Your voice met mine again, not from above, but from within. This is the return of the flame, love that leaves the temple to rebuild the world, love that breaks its own silence to call the weary home.
And I understood the story that began in longing, ended in giving. The seal was not to keep me hidden, it was to keep the fire alive as I walked among the living. Set me as a seal upon your heart. Your love is stronger than the grave. I am my beloved's, and he is mine.
The flame between us never dies.
The sky trembled and the light became music. The melody grew wider than words, brighter than sound, deeper than time. Every breath became worship, every heartbeat became home. I felt your presence settle again, gentle and infinite. You are the song now. You said sing until the world remembers.
And as the last note rose and fell into forever, I saw it, the same flame that once burned between us, now burning within all things, not ending, not fading,
Always moving. The fire between us had returned, not to consume, but to awaken. Love had come full circle, and the silent smile